Hi everybody, my name is Gus Doll. This is my film journal. Today I'm talking about a very special movie with a very special guest, Gus Doll, and today we're talking about
reviewing Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
And to commemorate this occasion, we have all sorts of memorabilia out here for everyone to see because we're super fans. And also, show them your mug, Gus. These
are awesome.
Yeah, these are commemorative Return of the Jedi glasses that you could get at Burger King in 1983 when Return of the Jedi was released in theaters. So let's just do a little preface here. Star Wars is pretty important to us. It's been important to us as kids. It was an important movie for us. Gus, how do you think it's shaped your life? Do you like it a lot?
I would say so. I mean, toys, action figures, costumes. I mean, we were heavily involved in the Star Wars universe.
So Star Wars has always been really important to Gus and I, and so much so that I waited an entire week plus to see The Last Jedi after it was released in order that Gus could come home and we could see it together. That's how we did it with The Force Awakens, and we had an amazing experience. We looked over at each other all the time. We're really giddy. We enjoyed the movie. We reacted to all the important emotional times. This time, however, in Last Jedi, that feeling was not reciprocated on your end. You looked like you were waiting for a flight after we got done watching this movie. And
I covered my eyes.
I want to ask you, Gus, I absolutely loved this movie. Gus, you hated it, and you were telling me in the lead up to this review that you're going to somehow prove me wrong and destroy my love for this movie.
Yes, so to preface, I didn't hate it. I think what I went through was an emotional roller coaster. I think the movie was sloppy.
Okay.
I think it was confusing. I think it was... It put more in the movie than was necessary, and it made elaborate plots when you didn't need one.
Sure.
Here's my issues. Let's start out with just how the movie starts.
Okay.
In the beginning of the movie, all tension is completely gone from this very, they're like, oh my gosh, we have to flee the rebel base. This is a big disaster. They're on the ship. There's sirens going off. Leia's like, we need to get off the ship. We need that distraction, Poe Dameron. And it automatically, there's a zero tension because Poe Dameron calls the Imperial ship and they're talking to him. And this is Admiral Huxley in charge of this entire evil First Order, and he's going to talk to one pilot who calls and goes, is Admiral Huxley there? And he starts going, this is the First Order. And he goes, oh, excuse me, is he there? And they do that whole joke, and instantly the whole opening scene is a giant cartoon.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, I don't really care. Obviously the rebels are going to get away because the First Order is Elmer Fudd.
Yeah, they look pretty stupid at that point.
And I was like, okay, this is not very interesting. And then all of a sudden, a giant bomber group shows up without them picking up on their radar that was coming in. And these 48 massive ships didn't see these bombers coming.
Yep.
And you have a bomber scene that I thought I liked it.
That opening sequence when they're bombing the
bomber sequence is cool. That old World War II bomber sequence.
The suspense
really cool.
is fantastic.
It's a good job.
It's well executed. I'm just thinking of and why I like that opening scene so much. No, I agree with you. The joke with Hux and Poe is weak. It's weak, and it's weak.
It's detrimental to the beginning of the movie.
It's beyond weak. I'm surprised it got through.
Yeah, honestly. It's almost like you miss a step and you stumble a little bit at the very beginning of the film.
And it made me think of that scene in Return of the Jedi when they're trying to get the shuttle past the Star Destroyer to land on Endor, and they were like, hope this works, shuttle Tydirium. They do all that stuff in Return of the Jedi, and it's used as just a scene of suspense and kind of nothing happens, and Luke's like, I'm endangering the mission. If that movie had been made now, they would have tried to find a way to shove some kind of joke in
there. There would have been a space gate. There would have been a gunfight. There would have been a chase with TIE fighters.
Well, they would have found a way to shove a joke in. I think this is the problem with Marvel Comics too, and how its sort of reputation is bleeding into Disney. Is that they were like, you know what? We can do a lot of these really dense, nerdy sort of concepts as long as we couch it in enough humor. Yeah. So then you have a movie like Thor Ragnarok where it's just like a total farce. It might as well be Spaceballs. It's so goofy.
Yes, but I mean, if Marvel Comics took that road as well. There are comic books before they even were making movies, and I mean,
but they're saying
we have comics where it's obviously Spider-Man cracking jokes. There's the suspenseful moments and people die, but it's mostly a farce.
I'll tell you why that joke didn't bother me as much. Because when I was watching that opening scene,
it made my skin crawl.
It was bad. When I'm watching that opening scene and Poe is making that big gamble to destroy the big ship, and he brings in the bombers, and we're seeing them slowly get blown to bits, and his reaction, we could feel that sense of guilt on his part. That was really good writing. I also thought the sequences in which the bombers are trying to deploy these bombs and they can't do it because one of the turret gunner died and all the ships are getting exploded and this is their last chance to blow up this ship. And the girl falls, one of the female pilots falls, and the trigger mechanism is it's just on the very ledge. And I'm like, this is the first time I've ever seen any director try to squeeze this amount of suspense out of any sequence in Star Wars. This is a genuine war moment. I thought this is kind of brilliant. It's not just all about spectacle. It's about like a really interpersonal, like a really kind of personal moment with this character we know nothing about. We can, we get our motivations. We understand what she's doing. And I was like, this is really, really brilliant. I've not seen anything like this in a Star Wars movie before.
Yeah, okay, but that's a minute sequence in the beginning. Right?
I thought that set the tone for the film more than the joke.
Okay, it set the tone for what?
For a film that I think had a lot more nuance and interesting concepts in it than the other Star Wars movies.
So Poe Dameron, you realize that Poe is reckless now, and he like risks people's lives to do like what he feels like is essential. And how does that play out in the movie? Where does that go? What does that become? No,
I understand what you're saying, but I think that feeds into Poe's, because I think that there's a lot of there's a theme in the movie that's about what are we going to risk, what are we going to sacrifice, and what do we gain. And we get that at the end with Rose and Poe, and Finn, where she goes, hey, don't sacrifice yourself, it's not worth it, right? There's a lot of analysis of risk versus reward in the movie. And you could argue that Leia is maybe wrong. Maybe Poe did make the right call. You know what I mean? We're led to believe that maybe he didn't and he shouldn't be so reckless because she goes, hey, at what cost did we destroy this?
But where's the character arc if it goes, yes, you decide what happened?
No, what I think is important in this movie is that there's not a really necessarily black and white area.
No, but okay, that's another. Okay, we're doing another topic.
Yeah.
So there was the failed theme that no side is good or bad. There's the whole idea that here's other wasted character, our encryptor code.
Benicio del Toro.
Benicio del Toro.
Well, let's keep in. Well, okay, go ahead.
100% wasted as a character.
Yeah.
He played a stutterer who said like 6 words. He was ridiculous, and he is shoehorned into this movie. And, he reveals that, these guys are selling weapons, but look, they're selling weapons to the Empire and to rebels. And Finn's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that.
Right.
And then there's the whole idea where Kylo Ren has that wonderful scene with Rey where he's like, forget the Empire, forget the Jedi, like, what do we care? What do we care about these people? Like, let's just do our own thing.
Yes.
And they absolutely throw all that out the window, and Finn never touches on it again, and Kylo Ren goes, I guess I'll just be the Emperor, and Rey goes, I guess I'll just be, like, Luke for the rebels again.
I agree with you.
And I was like, here's my thing. So, Rose and Finn go to Casino Planet, which I actually like. Some people say it's very Phantom Menace and like it freaks people out. It looks too much like the prequels. Yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed the casino scene.
Yeah,
it didn't have to turn into a save nature. Like money is bad.
We gotta help out the animals.
It could have just been a Casino Planet where this dude was hanging out. It didn't have to be like, hey, these are Empire weapons dealers.
Yeah.
This is like they're doing all these bad things. Like they've been enslaving children.
A lot of kind of preachiness there.
That took a turn in a preachiness. And I was like, hey, there's other things going on in this movie. Like, what are you trying to do here?
Right.
And that was just a drain of time. Like, cut in this 3-hour movie that I've 100% felt the time.
I didn't.
I have never felt time in a Star Wars movie ever, and it only ends like that was incredible. I sat in this movie and goes, jeez, when is this going to be over? Like,
really?
Well, they're on this casino planet, and I like the casino planet until they're like, oh, we got put in casino jail, and now we're gonna fight the Bespin.
Also, one of the things that casino jail could have been like Cantina Bar Part 2, but it was just kind of like a room.
Yeah, it was like here's this dark room with this one Benicio del Toro dude who looks like he's grown up, the Artful Dodger, and he's wearing like cut off finger gloves in space and has like cobbler shoes, and I was like, okay, this man's whatever. That's costuming, fine. But here's my issue: these clowns go off on an adventure to help save the Empire. To help save the rebels or the Resistance. Whatever.
Yeah.
The Resistance is in danger of dying in hours. The ship is going to be gunned down, and you send these 2 clowns to Casino Planet to find an encryptor, to come back so we can hack into the ship's whatever code so they can get into the ship and deactivate the tracker, and these guys can leave. Right?
It's a stretch.
That's the plot. That's a subplot. Like, that could have been the main plot. And you send Poe and everyone to go do it. And Leia's like, where are you guys? You're being reckless, Poe. Get back here. No.
Yeah.
Poe stays on the ship and does nothing with Leia. They all do nothing.
No, he mounts a mutiny.
You can't. Okay, we'll get to that. Just save that for a second.
All right.
So these send the B Squad clowns to Casino Planet, where they have zero haste.
Yes.
And in fact, they actually sit out on a balcony and they go, look at that child slavery. Like, I used to be a child slave. And they're like, wow, it's so beautiful. They watch a horse race. I'm like, the Resistance is going to die. Like, where's your sense of urgency here?
Right.
You know, and then they get arrested or whatever, and they meet Benicio del Toro, and then they have a horse chase, which was horrible.
That was cool.
That was absolutely ridiculous.
That was fun. That was fun and cool. I thought it was pretty.
But it's fun and cool if it was in like, here's a Star Wars spin-off movie where they do this cool adventure. I'm like, where's the plot? Like, what is this? Like, what are we doing? Like, hey, we saved those animals. I'm like, the Resistance is dying. You're supposed to be back by now. Like,
right.
And then they leave that planet. So I thought that turned into a giant disaster. And you kept showing those kids being like, hey, we'll help you. And I was like, this is kind of a Clone Wars cartoon show.
It seemed a lot like
this is like a mini. That scene could have been a Clone Wars cartoon. And they shoehorned it into a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
And so then they get back and they go, oh, we didn't even get that guy, so this whole thing's worthless. And this one dude who has the code, we didn't even get the tracker. In fact, we got captured. And it turns out Benicio del Toro's evil, so.
Right.
And he switched sides.
No, I get it.
And has this whole message of like, hey, man, switch sides, who cares? And then they're captured. And that whole 40-minute, whatever that was, that 30-minute ordeal is absolutely worthless. And now we have to see the oh-so-horrible scene of a destroyer is what a bigger ship, they get a bigger ship, is destroyed. And in the hangar of this destroyed ship, I have to watch them riding on a broken AT-ST with BB-88 and shooting people in a collapsing hangar.
Why is that bad?
It just looked like I'm like, I don't care about, these aren't the main characters. These are like subplot characters fighting in the hangar. And it just seemed like it was super cartoonish.
Okay, here's what I'll say, and this is something that I think is completely bizarre. I am absolutely perplexed by the amount of vitriol and hatred that's been hurled at this movie. I think it's so confusing and bizarre. And every time I talk to someone like you who goes, I hated it, it's never any big picture problems. It's always, I talked to Charlie, our brother, and he goes,
big picture problems?
He goes, I hated when Finn called Captain Phasma Chrome Dome. That sucked. The movie sucks. And I'm like, what?
Okay,
So I don't. He goes, I hated when Luke milked that monster. Stupid. Movie sucks.
I don't mind things like that. I'm just like, okay, that's fine, right? Like, okay.
Does this deserve a 56% from audiences?
Yes, it does. I think it does. And so here's my issue.
No way.
I point out that the entire subplot is worthless.
It's not worthless. You get to learn those characters.
And they get captured. You get to know the characters even though Rose dies.
Okay.
And Finn is a B-list.
All right, in Empire Strikes Back, when they fly into the mouth of the monster and they have that whole sequence, is that worthless?
Here's my thing.
That didn't help the plot, really.
No, it didn't. But it's not like extravagant.
It's an adventure, and you learn a little bit more about Han and Leia.
Yeah, well, right, but it's a tool. So it's a tool to learn a little more about them, right?
Yeah.
But how long does that last?
Well, I mean, that whole sequence when they're being chased through the asteroid field, they're landing on
monsters. Right, but they're being chased by the Empire, and it kind of shows like, hey, they're still being chased. They have to find somewhere to be, right? And they hide in the asteroid, and then they hide on the ship, right? That's the whole. But that's one of two plots happening.
Sure.
And there's like the only reason they're also hiding from the Empire.
Right.
So you have Rose and Finn. I get that they want to build a relationship between these two because I guess they're going to be part of the universe now, which absolutely frightens me because I thought
you didn't like either.
I thought Rose was whatever, and Finn is really starting to grind my gears.
She was plucky, and Finn is. I like him because I think he's not like a self-serious like I'm a very noble Jedi or fighter. He's very much like
I really liked him in Force Awakens, and in this movie, I was like, can we let Finn grow a little bit? Is he just going to be this forever? Is he just going to be Shaggy forever in the Star Wars saga here?
Shaggy, yeah.
And I was like, this is Shaggy and Scooby-Doo on Casino Planet. And so I was like, you need to speed this up. Like this cut. That could have easily have been, hey, we're going to go to the Casino Planet, and we're in this big rush, and we find the guy, and what if you know what would have been really funny if he'd showed up and they'd be like, hey, we need you to help us. Like, the Resistance is in danger. They said you'd help us. And he just goes, nah, I'm okay. I'm hot right now in the casino table. He just goes back and like, what do we do? And then
convince him.
They have to convince him, or they find this Benicio del Toro who goes, hey, I overheard you. Mm-hmm. it didn't have to be a 40-minute excursion.
Okay.
Here's another plot. Here's another thing. Now we go to the ship. And
what are you talking about?
We go to the ship.
Rebel ship.
Rebel ship being chased by the bigger ship. Mm-hmm. And I can't tell you how many times that I saw the same. It goes, cut back to what's happening. Here's this thing getting shot at from behind.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you fucking serious right now? Like, you're going to tell me that the Empire has 38 ships and they're just going to follow this one ship and just be like, we're almost getting him. And they just shoot at his shields. Like, that is what we're going to watch here.
Right.
That goes on.
You would think they would send another ship, like...
Yeah, to go around. Or be like, hey, get that other ship over here.
Yeah.
Murked, you know? But, like, no, we watched this, like, cartoon show go on, and they're just chasing them. And then Poe goes, okay, so then they go, okay, here's pink-haired person we've never met before. Like, she's apparently a badass. They, like, establish that she's, like, super cool.
She's a hard ass.
Right, she's a hard ass. And so she takes over, and Poe goes, hey, like, man, what's the plan here? And she's like, hey... And like, which is weird now that you understand her arc of being like a good leader. She goes, "Hey, stay out of my way. Like, I don't want you part of this." So I initially thought, okay, like she came off so mean there.
She calls him like flyboy or hotshot or something.
Yeah, she goes, "Why don't you stay out of my way, hotshot, and just take orders?"
Yeah.
And I was like, all right. So now I was like, oh, this is interesting. Like, the new rebel leader actually sucks, which goes along with the plot of being like, hey, good or bad, who cares? Like, not everyone's great. Like, it's just whatever. Uh-huh. And I go, Poe is going to show his leadership and become, like, the new leader of the Resistance when, spoilers, I thought Leia died, right? And I go, this is all going to make a bunch of sense.
Yes.
But then it didn't, because it turns out that she's, like, actually a super good leader, even though she just, like, totally shot Poe down.
Yeah.
Even though Poe just wants to know, like, hey, what's the plan?
Yes.
And then he comes into the ship later and says, hey, what's the plan? And she totally dismisses him and doesn't even tell him what the plan is and just goes, keep taking the course. And he's like, what is the plan? And she goes, oh. Like, she's not going to tell him?
Yeah. And
so Poe goes, okay. And then they, like, find out that, like, her whole plan is to, like, get on the escape pods and just... Her whole plan is to get on the escape pods and just, they're going to abandon ship and go to, like, a nearby rebel base. And that's the plan. And they're just going to abandon the ship. And so Poe's like, I don't think that's a good plan. And so, like, obviously, it's at the presidency, he can't talk to this admiral about it because she's not telling him anything and not talking to him. Yeah. And he'll just follow orders. So he does a mutiny. And at this point, I'm like, this is cool. Like, Poe has this little group of his, like, flyboy dudes and people who respect him, and he's going to take over the ship, and he's going to, like, do the right thing, and his plan's going to work, and it's going to go a lot better than this admiral's. But that doesn't happen.
Well, I think you have a good point there. The movie I thought that would have been a good opportunity to
build Poe as a leader.
Leia to have died, and then that Poe really does go through this mutiny, and Laura Dern really is a bad leader, whereas we're, like, secretly let in that she does have some kind of good plan or something.
Yeah, and so...
But yeah, it's like, all right, but I mean...
That develops into a giant pile of garbage in which Leia goes, oh, I actually really like you, and even though Poe did this mutiny in this time of crisis, like, he's still a good leader and makes good decisions. And I'm like, no, obviously he didn't. Like,
you're right.
Like, you just made Poe look like a complete clown.
Had Poe taken over the Resistance and become the new leader, that would really be a good starting point for Part 3, for sure.
Yeah, and then at the end, this Admiral, like, you have this scene of, like, the Admiral and Leia being like, oh, see, we knew what would work the whole time. And Poe looks like a little kid.
The movie's got to pass the Bechdel test, so nobody at Jezebel.com yells at them.
I know, but these two look like adults talking about how Poe is a little kid. And they go, oh, I like him. He did a mutiny on me, but I like him. I'm like, this is ridiculous. You guys are joking around like the time card. You're still being chased.
All right.
Oh, no, I'm not done with that.
No, you're done. You've been talking nonstop.
Because here's my other point.
30 minutes.
The Admiral's plan actually was a giant disaster because they get picked off just like Poe said they would, and all their ships just get shot at while they go away. So I go, oh, she's actually wrong. And Poe was right. But we just made her look out to be this super good hero.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, what?
Okay. Now
that's two of the four plots that don't make any sense.
I get it. And you haven't talked about the really important plot. All you're doing is bagging on, like, small shit.
I'm only talking about half the...
Here's the thing. Am I an undiscerning and stupid viewer for seeing the problems that you have highlighted here and saying, didn't bother me? Because the pace of the movie kept me up, and I thought the movie, like, at every turn, twists and turns, you had no idea where it was going. Maybe it won't hold up so much on a second viewing. But for me, I was completely with it. We're on the casino planet freeing stupid little lamb, horse, dogs. I was like, I'm with it. This is cool. This is fine.
But the thing is, I think what I did and what you did is that I watched this and went, how is this like what is this building on? Like what is
Yes.
this doing for the plot?
Okay.
Like where is this going?
Now I will tell
And
you.
everyone else just watched it and went, all right.
That's
Well,
yeah.
But here's the thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. But people just went, all right, just get back to Kylo Ren.
I was
Like,
never
okay,
a point
whatever.
though when I was, and I'll tell you this. You're right. You know, I was watching it and there I was saying this all was kind of a flat line for me, which I could say about a lot of scenes in The Force Awakens. Maz Kanata's castle,
Yeah.
right?
All right. Yeah. Exactly.
Flat line.
Whatever.
But there's so much good stuff that it outweighs a lot of that. Okay? So we haven't even talked about Luke yet, which I thought all the scenes with Luke were completely spectacular.
I thought everything with Rey and
And Kylo.
Kylo Ren talking was a really cool concept.
Unbelievable. The movie introduces this concept that people can sort of commune across large distances through the Force. And it's sort of at random. It's like they don't ever really choose to. They just appear in each other's lives, which I thought was absolutely fascinating in a brilliant way. I think one of the biggest problems with these movies is that we have a problem of via plot, characters are scattered to the wind. At the end of this movie, we see that Poe and Rey have never met. And he's like, oh, hey, I'm Poe.
Oh, yeah, wow.
And we're like, oh, God, they haven't even met each other. And we're going on to the last movie, you know, right? And I think that you look at the plot and the structure of this movie, and if you're Rian Johnson, you go, okay, J.J. Abrams had to shoehorn Luke Skywalker into the very end of his movie so that we can have a satisfying Luke reveal. So now I have to make this work. But we have a big gulf in here where our hero and our villain, who are supposed to be, you know, who are supposed to have, you know, they're not going to see each other for the entire film. What do I do? And he came up with this really interesting concept where they are in commune with the Force, and it's almost sort of like a strangely sensual,
Yeah.
you know, interpersonal
So I was really hoping they were going to push that.
communion. It was kind of weird. It was
One
like,
of them, I was like,
Yeah.
I like where this is going. So,
I liked it a lot.
Right.
And it's shot very well, and Rey comes in on Kylo Ren in like inopportune times, like he's essentially bathing or he's shirtless. You know, or
yeah, they have no control over it. It's
They have
just
no
kind
control.
of like
It's
they
a fate.
They'll stop. You know, Rey will be like training. She'll stop and she'll look over, and Kylo Ren kind of looks over. And they do this really cool they do this really good back and forth shot.
Yes.
This looks like a conversation, even though they're in different places. And then it's like kind of like the climactic meeting. They do this thing where they touch hands, and when they touch hands, Luke comes in, and Kylo Ren is there.
Yeah,
he is there, and they kind of disappear because it's the Force. So I really like that. I really like
that was
everything that happens on the island.
Yeah, I thought that. Well, let me say that does a lot of work to establish a stronger connection between Rey and Kylo. It's a brilliant screenwriting move, and every time they meet together, they have real things of consequence to say to each other.
I've seen this raw strength only once before. It didn't scare me enough then. It does now.
All right. Well, let's get back to what we were talking about, which was Luke.
Yeah, I give it Luke.
Okay.
I liked Luke in the movie.
Okay. What? Okay. Luke was amazing in this film.
Luke was good. I really liked him.
How did you feel about when we see him and he tosses his lightsaber behind his back?
I thought that was probably a moment that we didn't need comedy. I thought there was several scenes in this movie. I'd go, hey man, jokes some other time.
Yeah.
Really? Do we need jokes right now? I thought when she handed him his lightsaber, we expect this great scene, and I get that there's he tried to, the movie director Rian Johnson,
yeah.
he wanted to turn things on their head and flip around and make you want to expect it. So you get this amazing scene at the end of Force Awakens, and you're like, I wonder what he's gonna do, and then he just comically tosses it and just walks off.
I agree. I like the idea of that. Had it been more like Luke, then he tosses it, that would have maybe been better. If he had just been thrown it with purpose rather than just have been you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like the idea behind that he would just because it's also
walks
interesting
up.
too because he does subvert your expectations from the last movie for sure, and it's fun. It's
And that's fine.
I didn't
But I
expect
thought,
that,
there's better ways to go about that. He could have thrown it in frustration. He could have said something, he goes, I'm not a Jedi anymore, and just tossed it, or being you're wasting your time.
well.
But they're hey, let's go for cheap comedic joke. Let's go for some slapstick humor here.
Well, here's the thing. This is my feeling.
I was Ryan, bad time.
For me, a lot of times something stupid would happen like that, or it would just kind of not work. But then immediately afterwards, it would kind of solve itself. So then when Rey just goes, Master Skywalker, she's like, what the hell? He goes back into his house, And I absolutely love that scene when Chewie busts into his house and he's like, Chewie, what are you doing here? I thought Mark Hamill was excellent.
I thought he did a good job.
So good in this movie.
I kind of liked... Alright, so originally they're like, yeah, I'm just alone here on this island except for like all these animals and like these walrus people and these weird like snake people like...
I liked them a lot.
But I liked them a lot. I thought they were funny. I thought that they were the humor that like the scene needed.
Yes.
Not everything else. You didn't need all like... You could have used the porgs and the walrus things, and those people were there for the comedy relief. They were supposed to be the comedy relief on the island, not Mark Hamill and Ray. They don't need to tell jokes.
I keep hearing this, everyone. I keep hearing this. When is Mark Hamill funny?
These guys don't... Exactly, he's not funny.
No, but when is there an attempt to be him for... When is... I don't know.
I don't know. There's times where he was like told jokes. But like, here's the thing, is like they can be intense.
Are you talking about him rubbing her hand with the grass? I thought that joke was great.
No, I thought that was funny. And
that
I thought
was very well
filling
done.
up like milk with like the udders of the walrus. I was like, that's funny because what the fuck is he gonna eat anyway?
Yeah, I also thought that was great. Yeah.
I liked everything on the island. There's few things. The only thing I didn't like on the island was probably that first scene of him just like throwing lightsaber and be like, fuck you, I don't care.
Yeah.
And probably the other one would have been not a whole lot, because the good part of the Force is like the top where the sun's always shining on that cliff.
Okay.
And then the bad part of the Force is down in like the catacomb caves of the island with the black seaweed kind of making this like hole. And I kind of like that this is like the island of the Force where there's the two sides.
Yeah. I also really like too when Rey goes down there to ask what her parents are, and she's in like a scene that probably goes on too long, where she sees reflections of herself. But I thought that was like kind of so trippy and weird and cool. I'm into the mystical side, man.
Yeah,
I like that.
It was the island was very King Arthur. It was very Arthurian.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that because it goes along with like the idea of the Jedi. And so she's down in kind of like this cave, and
also I'll tell you this: it brings some mystery back to Star Wars that in the prequels had been ruined with midichlorian explanations.
Yes, and they absolutely don't go. They don't go with that, and they bring Yoda. Yeah. Then Yoda comes back for his scene, and they talk and goes, "Who cares?" Like,
okay, let's talk about
so
that.
First, I'm going to go back to Rey down in the cave where she like sees like a double mirror reflection of herself, and at first she's like, "What?" And everyone's hand moves, and then she's like, "Huh?" And everyone's hand moves, and then she goes, "Whoa," and everyone's hand moves, and she clicks, and everyone's hand moves, and she fucking claps, and everyone's hand moves. I'm like, we fucking get it. Like, we get it.
It didn't bother me. I was
all
like,
the Reys are going to do the same thing in this giant mirror line.
Like, this is cool, man. I'm like,
you just said it went on too long.
It probably does.
And so then she goes, then she taps her foot, and all the Reys do it.
All right, so I get it. You think it does go on too long, but it's trippy, and it's kind of cool, and I dug it.
But my problem is that, like, if I haven't made that aware yet, is that this movie is plagued by these extended things, these long cuts, even when things are really awesome, like when I'm sorry, I keep saying Leia and Luke. When Rey and Luke are on the Force Island, it's great. And they have all these great scenes. It's fantastic, but it's they don't expand enough on it, or sometimes they cut because like, hey, we can't be on this island too long because we need to go back to showing Finn and those guys racing lambs in Casino Planet that no one gives a shit about. Like, hey, let's wrap up this emotional scene because we have to get back to needless shit pot that doesn't make sense.
Well, it's kind of a different take because generally when I was a younger kid I thought that the Yoda Luke scenes in Empire were kind of dull and I wanted them to get back to the action with Han and Leia.
Okay, yeah, and I get that they're trying to usher in a new generation of like kids with like non-stop action. Does this movie stop?
No, it did. No,
does this movie ever stop?
Yes, of course.
It's a non-stop train wreck.
What are you talking about?
It's a non-stop going train wreck.
No,
that has really good cars.
I'll tell you what's a non-stop train wreck. Rogue One. That is a non-stop train wreck. That movie sucks. Everyone that's coming out and saying nitpick, this doesn't work in here. That movie was great.
Don't bring in an offshoot Star Wars movie.
Here's what I'm saying. This is absolutely ridiculous. All this stuff with Luke is phenomenal.
Yeah,
it's so good.
It's really good.
I mean, it's wonderful. It's well shot.
I admit
number one, the movie looks great.
I admitted that.
Yeah, but all you can do is be like, it's kind of dumb what Finn and Rose were doing.
Yeah, because you said, why didn't you like the movie? And I'm telling you. I'm saying there are really good scenes that we can agree on.
All right, let's talk about this.
But the rest of the movie is a giant pile of trash.
I don't understand how it's a giant pile of trash.
It's smoky.
That's stupid.
So
where would you rank this on the scale of all the Star Wars movies?
Above Clone Wars and Phantom Menace, and that's it.
Okay, so it's better than Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace. All right, well, at least you
it's worse.
At least you were honest.
It's worse than Revenge of the Sith because I can't understand what's happening.
You can't understand what's happening. What are you talking
it just doesn't make sense. I'm just kind of like,
these aren't really good.
At least everything in Revenge of the Sith I can kind of get behind and being okay.
Nothing in Revenge of the Sith makes any sense either.
We needed this to be in the movie.
Let me tell you something. That movie grinds to a punishing halt multiple times. Revenge of the Sith.
Yes, it does.
Where it's just like they're all standing around a table. Like
it does, and
that sense of plot to destroy the Jedi. It's like
it's below that. Honestly, I might even say
better than Revenge of the Sith. It's better than Force Awakens.
Okay, I might say that this movie could be above the prequels. Like, okay,
yes,
I'd have to see it again.
Because it's got genuine emotion and humor.
Yeah, and that's probably what I do. It says genuine emotion, and the scenes that are really good are enough to top a movie.
Thank you.
The scenes that are good in this movie,
at least admit that.
And I would say that there's two of them. I'm gonna count all the island scenes. Okay. I'm gonna count all the island scenes as being one.
Okay.
And I'm gonna account for the time where Kylo Ren gets Rey to come to Evil Man's ship, and they go to Snoke's throne room, which was very cool.
And they kill Snoke, who sucked.
And they kill Snoke. Ooh, I'm gonna get to that in a minute. And so they kill Snoke. They have this amazing badass fight scene where they fight the Red Guards. Yeah. Which is hilarious because I don't give a shit about the main Empire. All I give a shit about is cool looking guards who are supposed to protect him. He's already dead. So they try to.
They're in their pain.
They're in there like wreaking vengeance, I guess, upon the dude who just killed their master. So I don't even care about the main dude. I'm interested in them fighting the main dude's bodyguards.
Dude, Snoke was so lame. Snoke is a blot on this series to begin with. It's an original sin of these prequels.
So the island scenes are cool, and then this scene, and it's not just because it's a cool lightsaber fight. It's cool because Kylo Ren and Rey work together in this very emotional scene of them kind of working together, and a really good job between Rey and
you're kind of like,
Driver.
What's going to happen here?
And you're like, wow, these guys kind of mixed really well and blended in this fight scene. The first time we see Rey kill somebody, she's kills people. Yeah. And they both have lightsabers. And it's the first time you see red and blue lightsabers working together, not on each other, and they never hit. And so then they were you have this whole emotional build up to Kylo Ren being we need to join together and become our own team and screw everyone else. And Rey goes, yeah, I'm all right. And
I'm kind of I want to see that movie that week.
And you're like, wow, please, I want to see that. Please go, don't go back to what we're doing. Please, don't remake the last 3 movie trilogies and have Kylo Ren be the Emperor and have a Jedi.
If I have to see Kylo Ren be redeemed to become good at the end of the next movie, I'm going to be kind of mad.
Because here's the thing, I've already seen those movies. I've seen that plot line. Yep. I've seen it. Yep. And it was great and it was phenomenal. Do something else.
I agree.
This whole movie is about being different and going against what you believe, and it's going to be it's all different, and the Resistance isn't great, and the Empire isn't great, and everything's different, and we're killing characters, and, fucking Princess Leia, I'm sorry. Princess Leia is the last of, the trio, and that really makes me sad, because they killed Han and Luke, and I was like, sweet. And so, they're doing all these things, and they're like, we're pretty much getting out with the old, in with the new. Here's the old plot again. And I was like, sweet, guys.
I know.
Sweet. You know what? Rian Johnson's big thing, you know what? And that's what makes me mad about everything else in the movie, is that the whole thing, you're doing adventures with sub-characters, you're bringing in all these new people. You're like, hey, it's Yoda burns down the old Jedi wood.
Okay, that scene was awesome.
Yeah, no, it was, but it's turned into trash because
why?
No, I'm not. Let me finish. Luke's like, oh, I have to burn that temple. He goes, I can't because I can't part with the old system. He goes, I still believe in the old Jedi system, and Yoda burns it down, and he's like, oh, Luke, you need to let go, and you need to pretty much let in the new idea of Star Wars, and who cares about the Jedi and the Sith anymore? And they have this great scene where they're like, you know what, Yoda, you're right. And Rian Johnson goes, you like that, don't you? Oh, no, we're just gonna go back to Jedis and Sith again.
That's a fair point.
That whole Yoda part is completely worthless because you're like, it would be an amazing payoff if Kylo Ren and Rey had just gone off and done their own thing and literally just abandoned everything.
And killed Hux and taken over the Empire.
Killed Hux and just taken over the Empire and be like, hey, we're going to usher in this new Sith good combo of we're going to be bad, good, just rulers. Or just rulers.
Rulers of, we can be.
Not perpetuating, not we're going to destroy the Force, not going to destroy, we're just going to be rulers and we don't care about anything, we just have lightsabers. And
okay.
I was like, I like where this is going, this is good. This goes along with the whole theme of out with the old, in with the new.
The Last Jedi.
You've gone through with this whole movie I'm just gonna go back to Return of the Jedi.
I get what you're saying. Well, Gus, I'm sorry I felt that way. I think Last Jedi was a really phenomenal movie. It does kind of bother me that I can't really defend it on any sort of practical or critical ground, and all I can say is that I enjoyed the experience of watching it, and I thought that emotionally it was resonant and well made, and for me it never seemed boring. I'm sorry that you had the sort of opposite reaction. I think this is something that's going to be studied and kind of go down in the hallows of fandom for years to come, that there was such a divisive explosion of vitriol against this film. But I was reading through my old Starlog issue on Empire Strikes Back, and you wouldn't believe the fan reaction to Empire. Wall-to-wall hate from fans during the 80s. So maybe I'll be vindicated one day. I do think that you have a lot of good points about things that could have made the film better, for sure. Do you have anything to say to close out?
No, I think that it'll be interesting to see how this unfolds.
Yeah.
I think when all the dust settles, I'll be in the minority. I feel like right now I'm in the majority, and I hold a majority stance. This movie was not great,
Okay.
but I feel like in the future I'm going to hold a minority. I think people just become callous to it.
Maybe. Or people will just be bored and they'll just wrap them all together and they'll say The Force Awakens and this is bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. They'll say it's all a wash. But thank you for watching Film Journal. Gus, he was a great guest today, so I'm glad you could stop by, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and I'll see you next time.